40 years ago this month, on April 25th, 1985, the Oregon Lottery began selling its first game, a scratch-it game called Pot of Gold. A few months later, in November of '85, Oregon Megabucks started, the first computer-operated lottery game in Oregon. 3 years later, in 1988, Oregon was one of 7 states to launch Lotto America, which is now Powerball. Fast forward to 1992, we saw the introduction of video poker slot machines in bars and taverns across the state. Oregon lottery sales topped $1 billion for the first time in 2006. And today, 40 years and many games later, the lottery is a major source of revenue for the state, having provided more than $16 billion for education, economic development, and other projects. And here to talk about 40 years of the Oregon Lottery, Matt Shelby, Senior Manager of Communications and Policy for the Oregon Lottery. Matt, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Let's elaborate a little more on how the lottery has benefited the state's economy.
Yeah, so if you go all the way back to 1985, we started because voters wanted to raise money for economic development without having to raise taxes. So we were kind of a means to an end from the very beginning. And since then, voters have added, as you kind of walked through, other games and also but other beneficiaries that we're funding. So nowadays, we're funding economic development, schools, parks, watershed enhancement, veteran services, problem gambling prevention and treatment, just to name a few. So it's really kind of grown over the years, over the last 40 years, to really be a vital piece of state funding.
How many retailers offer lottery games, and how does it help those retailers?
So statewide, we have about 3,500 retailers selling our products, and they are essential. People don't buy lottery tickets from the lottery. They buy tickets from retailers. They operate on a commission basis based on whether they're just video lottery or what we call traditional lottery, which would be like scratch tickets, Powerball, that type of thing. And they earn a portion of those sales. And when you talk to bars, restaurants, convenience stores, gas stations across the state, that source of revenue for them is in some cases it's critical. It helps them kind of pay for some of the extra things that maybe they wouldn't be able to pay for. In some cases, it helps them pass on some bonuses or additional things to the employees that work for them. So it's a real benefit in every corner of the state.
How important is the lottery to the state's bottom line?
So, very. It's the second largest source of discretionary money that the legislature has. So we focus on raising those dollars. We transfer that money after, obviously, we pay prizes and our administrative costs. We transfer that over to the legislature to then dole out through state agencies for those programs that folks care about. And just last year, it was almost $1 billion that we actually transferred to state government.
Here's a graph of where lottery profits go, and we'll see that more than half supports public schools, 53%, and you can see the percentages for the other things that the lottery supports. How is that decided? How is it decided where the lottery profits go?
So there's a couple of ways. First and foremost, voters have decided over the years to dedicate percentages of lottery revenue to various things. And so we call those constitutional beneficiaries. And folks may remember, if it was on the ballot, that's a change most likely in the state constitution, specifically adding that beneficiary into the mix. The legislature beyond that has made some decisions at their level around where funding goes as well. And then every year, and I think this is probably I'll call it the beneficiary that gets the least credit, and that is the state bonds against our future revenue to fund projects all over the state. So things like water treatment plants, libraries, capital investments in every community, and those are allocated every time the legislature gets together.
Have you found any problems with problem gambling, especially when it comes to video poker? And how do you address that?
So we have a dual mission, which is maximum profits for the people of Oregon commensurate with the public good. And we do sell gambling, and frankly, there are some people that shouldn't play our games that we know do. And rough numbers, it's about 3% of the adult population. That's kind of what the prevalence studies are telling us. And so that's a consideration that's always there for us. So how do we offer these games that we know are potentially harmful to some people? How do we do that in the best way possible? So kind of our general approach is to provide people as much information as we can up front so that they can make some informed decisions for themselves. So that might be on a video lottery terminal, having very clearly posted kind of what are the odds of this game and things like that. There's no such thing as a hot machine or a cold machine. The games are random. And so we take a lot of effort to make sure that people really understand what they're getting into. The reality is most people don't win the lottery, right? And, it should be played for entertainment. We know that in some cases it's not. And so we really try to put out as much information as we can. And then on the flip side, we raise money for prevention and treatment services, and not just people that are directly impacted, but family members and other people that are indirectly impacted. There is treatment available. It's confidential. It works. And it's funded through the sale of lottery games.
Right. About 1.5% of what you take in goes to problem gambling.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt Shelby from the Oregon Lottery, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here on Eye on Northwest Politics, and congratulations on 40 years.
Thank you.